Teachers of Reddit, what's the funniest answer you've gotten from a student that technically wasn't wrong? My first grade class was learning the word powerful. Kids came up with examples of powerful things and people, like elephants and Superman. Then one boy said, babies are powerful because they can cry and get whatever they want. Teacher, I need a pencil. Where do the pencils live? I have a bucket of sharpened pencils for them to use. Pennsylvania? In 7th grade on a test the question said, why do some people see some technology as positive and others see the same technology as a problem, and a kid simply put, because some people are Amish. Phys. Ed teacher here. I always wear shorts teaching. Parent teacher conferences roll around. Grade 1 student comes up to me with her parents. Mr. Famous 1187. I've never seen you wear pants before. I've never responded quicker to a comment before in my life to clear that up. I'm a white guy teaching ESL in Asia. My students were tasked to complete the simile. The old man's hair was as white as. One student asked if she could write down my name. Teaching English to middle schoolers in Korea. Asked, okay, what's another way you can express surprise in English after going over expressions like, no way, are you serious, are you kidding me? Kid yells from the very back of the room, what the frick? ESL teacher, I had my students do an activity where they had to give directions based off of a map and situations I had chosen. The final question was more complex, and one of my students wrote, way too difficult, take a cab. Teaching English in Korea going over vocabulary words. Dozen. Egg family. Same kid. A month or so later. Evolution. Monkey level up. I teach ESL in a university in China. The topic in class was the effect of sleep on study. After introducing the phrase pulling an all-nighter, I asked the students to give some advice on how they can stay awake in class after the pulled an all-nighter. Student, take some C. Me. Give student an odd look, excuse me? Student, yes, you know, like in Coca-Cola, coffee, tea. Me. Pauses for a moment, now understanding what exactly he meant, but prompting him. See? Student, realizes what he has done. No crap, I meant caffeine. On a 3rd grade Charlotte's Web quiz. Give 2 pieces of evidence that support this statement. Charlotte was a good friend to Wilbur. She comforted him and she didn't let him become pork. Elementary school kid saw the answer key. He swore he came up with, answers may vary, all on his own. I asked a 3-year-old what love was for a Valentine's Day card to his parents. His response, maybe love is what tornadoes need. We call him the professor because he teaches us new things every day. In nutrition class at CC, the teacher asks what's one of the first things you throw out of the window when you drink alcohol. This kid just mumbles, standards. The question, a man has to get a fox, a chicken, and a sack of corn across a river. He has a rowboat, and it can only carry him and one other thing. If the fox and the chicken are left together, the fox will eat the chicken. If the chicken and the corn are left together, the chicken will eat the corn. How does the man do it? Students answer, let the chicken eat the corn, and let the fox eat the chicken. Then bring the fox over. I've got a story from my fiancee's childhood. They were testing her intelligence or awareness, and showed her an image with a TV in a room. The TV was turned on, showing a cartoon, and had a plant on top of it. Q. What's on the television? A plant. Apparently she just kept insisting in utter frustration until the administrator bothered to look at the image and not the answer sheet. Why are you late? The bell went off before I got here. College professor, teaching developmental psychology. At the end of the semester, I asked all the students to write down the most interesting or important thing they learned. One wrote, babies are stupid and old people still frick. It's not wrong. Kinda covers the lifespan. On a science task, students had to match the predator to the prey. One kid was matching a robin, and instead of matching it to the worm, he scratched it out and wrote Joker. My dad used to coach basketball and was trying to get the kids into a 2-3 zone. He yelled out to one kid in particular who was in man-to-man, what defense are we playing? Kid slaps the floor and says tough defense. I teach forensic science. We were going to be using iodine to fume fingerprints. Iodine vapor is no joke, so I terrify the students and use only 2 volunteers with goggles and respirators at the chemical hood, but we still all go over the MSDS, PPE, and equipment. I spend maybe 5 minutes talking about everything in the chemical hood to my class of 30, towards the end. So, someone tell me, what is a hood? A hand shoots up. Yes, student. It's, like, the place where you grow up. I facepalm. The class laughs, and I'm unable to pivot his answer in the moment. This is intentional, but I teach a foreign language, and so when I introduce the word for I don't know, I call on a student who typically gets answers wrong, and ask them to translate the word as if, he should know it. When the student inevitably responds, I don't know, I tell them they're right, and the look on their face is always priceless. Asked what is the moral of the story, the little engine that could. Answered, don't pick up hitchhikers. To refresh your memory, the engine had trouble getting up the hill because he had taken on several more passengers due to their train breaking down. If I've learned anything from TV is that if you pick up a hitchhiker, they're either a murderer, a ghost, or a hoopy fruit. Not a teacher, but someone told me this. What side of the road do people in France drive on? Miss, they drive on both sides. Not a teacher, but witness this in class. Sociology prof. Why do you conform? Student. It has always been my goal in life to blend in. Soc prof. No more questions for you. Name something living. Fox. Name something non-living. Fox poop. I wrote an exam where the question was, can you name 3 models of DNA replication? She wrote, number. Not a teacher, but I remember something I did when I was in grade 2. The student teacher took us into a private room one by one for eye exams. I've never taken an eye exam before and it wasn't really explained to me what was happening. I was just sat down and asked to read the first line of the chart, then the second, then the third. By the time it came to the 4th line I was like, it's too small for me to read. 1 minute please. Then I got up, walked over to the board and started reading the letters. Apparently that's not how you do eye exams. Similar thing happened to me. They took us into a room to test our eyes, so I left my glasses in the classroom. After a couple lines they recommended glasses, so I went and grabbed them. They looked at me like I was crazy. Hey man, you wanted to test my eyes, not my glasses. I teach English to Vietnamese kids. I asked what is the population of Vietnam? The kid quickly surveyed the room and said more than 15. This guy is going places. Student is reading a science magazine during a bit of downtime. Student, whoa, 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 yo, MR, you mean to tell me pollen is like flowers? CM, me, sort of. Student, man, I be getting that crap all in my face. I asked when is a time you have used integrity? He wrote down, I wash my hands after going to the bathroom, even if no one is in there. Not a teacher, but something my brother answered for homework. My brother was in year 1, and his homework was to draw a balloon blown up. He drew a picture with lots of squiggly shapes spread out across the paper. He took it as the balloon blown up, like a bomb, so he drew the leftovers of an exploded balloon. His teacher loved it and gave him full marks. Not a teacher, but a witness. In high school history class the teacher asked what was the peace treaty that ended World War II. This was a trick question because there wasn't a single treaty that ended the war. This one kid blurted out the Manhattan Project. The teacher laughed so hard he went and got the other history teacher and had the kid tell him the answer too. Teaching grade 5. Students were fooling around during group work, so I said sarcastically, do I need to stand here and watch you do your work? To which the student responded even more sarcastically, well, you don't have to stand, you can grab the chair and sit. I was teaching kindergartners about needs versus wants, and I showed pictures of things and we talked about why it was or wasn't. After a picture of a puppy came up, everyone but one kid said want, so I asked him to explain his answer. He just says, but what if you're blind? Good answer, you win. I once drew a woolly mammoth picture because I couldn't remember the name of it for a quiz question in science class. I got the point for it. I worked in a special needs class for a year and there was the one kid with a textbook case of Asperger's syndrome. Very bright, very tough nut to crack. I tried to tell him a corny joke once and he was not having it. Why did the chicken cross the road? He likely had business over there or was compelled by force. Well, okay. Not a teacher, but I work with kids. Trying to delicately explain to a 3-year-old why she should be kind to her mommy. You shouldn't say those mean things to mommy when she's sick. Who looks after you when you are sick and makes you feel better? The doctor. Well frick. As an EA, I gave a group of 2nd graders a worksheet about main idea in detail. In the instructions, they were told to circle the main idea and underline the details. One child returned the paper to me very promptly, having underlined the phrase the main idea and having circled the details in the instructions. Me. The quiz tomorrow will be on student paper. Everyone laughed and I rephrased the question. Not a teacher, but a friend of mine couldn't remember what country wasn't a part of the UK on a test, so she put Mexico. I teach English in Japan. When teaching my students, I asked what do we say when someone is being too loud. One smartest says shut up forever. I had never said this. No clue where he learned it either. I nearly lost my crap, but he wasn't wrong. The correct answer is be quiet, please. Which I told him was more polite. He just grinned as if he knew, but didn't care. Smart kid. I'll miss him when I change jobs. I get this pretty often from my students. My favorite is when I say please be quiet to new students and they ask their friends what I said. Usually someone will come back with shut up. The assignment was write the following numbers in all letters. The kid answered 3, 4, 15, 16, 21, 22, and so on. I gave him full points. I teach and coach baseball. After our shortstop got thrown out on second for the 3rd out, I told someone to pick up Will, in baseball terms meaning get his glove and hat so he can go out to the field. This kid, who was new to baseball, a big lineman type football player, claps his hands and goes, "It's okay Will, you'll get them next time." I cried laughing. That's funny. Similar thing happened in an intra-squad scrimmage with my high school team a couple days ago. Our coach told this kid Sam to pick up Jacob. Sam, who is both the worst player and the funniest player on our team, we call him the bench captain, says that's weird but okay, walks up to Jacob, literally picks him up, and carries him all the way out to left field where he's playing. When I used to teach anatomy, Anthony, name this bone, femur. Is it a left femur or a right femur? Yeah. Anthony, name this bone, Frederick. My godfather is a lobster fisherman, and all of the kids in the family would go out on the boat with him from time to time. There was a running joke with my uncle, dad and godfather. They would get a kid to bait a trap, then applaud them for being a master baiter. My cousin went back to school after summer vacation, and when the teacher asked what she did that summer, she proudly stated, "I became a master baiter." Not a teacher, but just a witness to this hilarity. In science class in high school, our teacher was talking about electricity and lightning and the effects of being electrocuted. He asked if anyone happened to know what is the first sense you lose when struck by lightning. Without missing a beat, a girl put her hand up and answered in all honesty, "Your sense of humor." Class had to stop for a few minutes until everyone could regain their composure. You have been visited by Moneybird. Upvote in 5,861 seconds and you will get rich. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.